Hey everybody, thanks for joining me here at the Greetery YouTube channel. We are busy getting the shop ready for tomorrow morning when we'll be releasing some fun new spring and Easter product. So one of the items that we'll be releasing tomorrow is a little creative kit called Easter Jubilee. So let's just take a look at what you'll receive in the kit. Our little kits are called Gatherings by the Greetery, and so it's just a gathering of fun products that work really well together. So this first one, called Easter Jubilee, is a stamp, stencil, and die combo. And so let's just go ahead and pull it out and see what you get in this fun little bundle. So it comes packaged all together with an insert which is printed on the back side with some instructions for how to assemble and create this really pretty tulip frame, which is a great focal point, really fun and easy to put together with the combination of the stencils and the stamps. And so first of all, there is a set of 3 stencils, and this will create the base of this pretty focal point design. And it's the 3 steps and super easy and sized perfectly for an A2 card. I'll be showing those in action in just a little bit later in the video. And then there is a 4x6 stamp set included as well, which will add some details to your stenciled images, and then a handful of sentiments. And those sentiments will fit on this small banner die that's included. And then there's also the Easter word die, which features a really pretty detailed alphabet that has some really pretty cutouts, and it fits perfectly inside this focal point image. And so it's really fun to put together. So let's see how it works. Alright, so let's go ahead and see this little creative kit in action. We're going to start by stenciling with the 3-step stencils. We will start with the center word backer. This stencil creates a shadow effect for the Easter word die that I showed you. And so I have already treated my stencils with a stencil adhesive. I used Pixie Spray, which is a great little tool to help you keep your stencils in place while you're using them, and it just makes things go a whole lot smoother. And so my stencils are already treated with that on the back side, which means they're going to stay put while I'm inking everything. I have just an A2 panel of cardstock, white cardstock, and I'm sponging some spiced marmalade ink over top of this stencil. So a lot of this gets covered up, so you don't have to worry too much about how even your ink is, because most of this will not even show. Most of it's going to be hidden by our letter die cuts. But that's looking pretty good. And so you can see how I'm going to go ahead and pull that off. And then we're going to go on to the next step, the second step of the stencil. And you always want to make sure that the etching, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there is words etched on the bottom with our brand name and also the name of the stencil. And so you always want to make sure that those are right facing and down at the bottom. And then you'll be sure that your stencils are orientated the correct direction and everything will line up. So you can go ahead and drop that second stencil right onto over top of that first sponged layer, and everything should line up just right if you have your A2 size card base. And then we're going to go ahead and ink this. I'm going to use a couple shades of Distress Oxide. I'm going to use Cracked Pistachio and also some peeled paint, so I can get some really nice variety of greens in my leaves. So I've made it all the way around my stencil, and all of my leaves are inked, so I can go ahead and remove my stencil, and I can see my design is building and it's looking really pretty. So the last step that we need to do with the stencils is the tulip layer. And once again, make sure your stencil is oriented in the correct direction with the etched wording at the bottom, and go ahead and layer that over the top, and it should fit just right nicely over top of your A2 card base, but you can double check that your flowers are situated where they should be before you start inking. So I'm going to make all of my tulips pink. I'm using Worn Lipstick ink They are far enough apart that you could very easily give these lots of different colors if you wanted to make your tulips all different colors. They're far enough apart that that would be very simple to do as well. But for simplicity in today's video, I'm just going to make them all the same color. So I'll go ahead and pull that stencil away, and you can see we are starting to get just this really pretty design, and it's really kind of pretty the way it is. We could leave it, but we're going to go ahead and add the stamping, which adds just even more beautiful detailing. So I'm going to be using my Misty to do the stamping. You can see I have my stenciled panel already in my Misty here, and I'm going to start by stamping the leaves. And so I'll just go ahead and take that stamp. It's one single image, and it just lines up really nicely with the stenciling, so you can just layer that in place. And I'll be able to do both steps, the flowers and the leaves, in my one Misty if I position my card this way. So I'll go ahead and close that and get that stamp set up, and then we'll go ahead and stamp it. I'm going to be using Forest Moss Distress Oxide ink. And that just adds so much beautiful detailing to those leaves. So now we can go ahead and add the detail to the flowers by stamping those as well. The flowers are broken up into two separate stamps just because otherwise they wouldn't have fit in this 4x6 stamp set. So in order to make everything fit, we broke that down into two separate stamps, but you can very easily stamp them at the same time just by putting them in your Misty all at once. So I'm going to go ahead and get this all lined up. So I'll close up my lid, and then I'm going to be stamping this detail layer of the flowers with festive berries. And if you want to make those flowers all different colors, I like to use these little finger sponges, and they're far enough apart that you can very easily ink up those images with different color inks. And there we have this beautiful background all finished, and we can go ahead and add our die cut letters. Our sentiment, I already have die cut from white cardstock, so I'm going to go ahead and add that over the top, which is super easy because of that stenciled portion of the word. Just makes it easy to position everything right where it needs to be. Then I can also add this little banner with a sentiment stamped onto it over the top, or you can experiment with different layouts and different dies over the top as well, different sentiments. Our new Let's Have a Word Happy die also looks really pretty layered over the top of that as well. So how fun and easy is that? You can also get creative with the stencils if you'd like. I created this card where I layered the addressed die over the top of this center panel to cover up the Easter sentiment, which makes it usable for just about any occasion. I also added some stenciling and stamping around the border of the panel by placing those stencils kind of strategically around the edge and stenciling a little section at a time. And so that turned out really fun as well. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this introduction to our first ever little creative kit called Easter Jubilee. and this kit will be available for purchase beginning at 10 a.m. on February 14 from thegreetery.com.